All right, folks. Welcome. The road back to Philly. Episode 2. Where am I? What's in my mind? What am I thinking about? Where do I want to live? Do I still want to move to Philly a week later? Ooh, we're gonna find out on episode 2. A lot has gone on. A lot of craziness. Let's get to it. We can fade the little intro music. I like the music though. It sounds like the theme to The White Shadow. My producer has no idea who that is. The White Shadow, a 70s show where a black basketball team had a white coach, and they called it The White Shadow. I still remember it. What was the guy's name who played him? The lead, Ken Howard. He was like a stud to the ladies back then, and he looked like he probably did play real basketball at some time because he looked like he was about 6'8", at least on camera. It'd be funny if he was 5'8", and they just stuck him on boxes all the time. But he looked really tall. One of my favorite shows growing up. But we don't really want to talk about The White Shadow this whole episode. Road back to Philly. So much. So I still want to be. I still want to be in Philly, even though, if you're noticing, look what hat I have on. I have the Philadelphia Eagles on for episode 2. And do you know why that is? Well, these episodes are going in the can, so they're coming out a few weeks probably after I record it. So what's going on right now in my household is the Sixers are playing the Knicks. They're getting their ass kicked. They're down 0-2. The Flyers are playing. Who are they playing again? The Avalanche?
The Hurricanes.
The Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricanes.
I'm such a shitty hockey fan. I'm a bandwagoner. I got to be honest. I haven't watched Flyers games in many years, and now that they're in the playoffs, I've been watching them. But I don't. Some of these teams didn't exist back in the day. Dan, did they exist?
Yeah, for the Flyers, for the hockey.
No. The team they're playing.
No, so I don't know how new the Hurricanes are. I'll look it up.
That's my producer, Dan, everybody. You'll hear him every once in a while, but hopefully we won't see him, even though he's a handsome fellow. He is a handsome fellow. He's a 12-year-old Latino living out there on the semi-West Coast. I guess, what is that called? South Central? Where do you live?
It's the West Coast, but it's like not quite Midwest, anyways.
That's not the West Coast to me. Tell them where you live. Utah?
I'm in Utah. Yep.
Yeah. What is it? Are you near one of the borders? Or are you in the middle, smack in the middle?
So Utah's a little bit weird. So I'm in like the middle because I'm in about an hour south of Salt Lake City. But most of the cities are like in the top end of Utah and down a line. Mm-hmm. And then you have nothing until St. George, and then you go into Idaho. So,
yeah, us South Jersey and Philly peeps that watch these podcasts or listen to these podcasts, probably Utah's not a popular state for us to go visit from here. I don't know why. I mean, it does have Salt Lake. Skiers
people love skiers.
Real, but you got to be really rich to go ski in Utah. That's like here. If you have hardly any money in the South Jersey, Philly area, we go to the Poconos, which is like the cheap way to go skiing. If you have money, you might go up to Vermont. A lot of comedians used to make fun of the rich kids with all the ski tickets hanging off of their zippers when we were growing up. Do you guys remember the Mighty Mac jackets? I can't believe I just thought of that. Mighty Mac, they had these flaps that zipped, and then you zipped the flaps together and it became a hood, and you could pull it kind of tight. And it was, loved my Mighty Mac jacket back in the 70s, back in my Wonder Years days. I looked just like Paul from the Wonder Years. I love talking over the head of my producer, who's too young to get any of these references, but you guys get them. The Mighty Mac, is that it?
I think so.
That looks like the 2026 version of the Mighty Mac.
Probably.
Yeah, you got to pull up the 1976 version.
This is
The
the Mighty.
Mighty
This is,
Mac.
I don't know. Someone says
Yeah,
this is the Mighty Mac jacket.
that's not what they look like when we grew up. That's one now. That one looks kind of nice. The Mighty Mac is just like such a
Like this
70s
one.
looking winter coat. No, nothing like that. That's
Mm.
new. Put in 70s Mighty Mac. Watch me. I could be getting the name completely wrong too. Everybody, it could not be Mighty Mac, but I think it is. I think it is. Um, Now, the Flyers are getting their ass kicked. They're down 0-3.
They are, and they were playing
Yes.
so good, but the Hurricanes came in and wrecked them. I do have some updates on the history. So, the Hurricanes were came from they came from actually the Hartford Whalers, which is legendary because they had this great logo with that as a guy who loves design and content. Let me pull this up for you so you can see. You have the H for Hartford in the logo, and so a lot of
Mhm.
designers love that. But
I
then,
well, that's kind of making sense now because I think it was either game 2 or game 1 in the Stanley Cup series here against them that they cut to somebody in the audience and he had a Whalers baseball hat on and the announcers made a couple of comments about it
yeah,
and it was a funny looking hat. So he was wearing the old logo when they were in Hartford.
yeah, in Hartford, they just didn't get a lot of enough steam. But then in 1997, they rebranded and moved to the Carolina for Carolina
It
Hurricanes.
makes a lot of sense. Everything fails that tries to open in Hartford, Connecticut. It's a weird city, man. It
It is a
used
weird
to
city.
I used to do comedy there a lot early in my career. And I have to go up to Hartford, Connecticut to do this club, City Steam, and then it became the Brew Ha Ha. And I got to one of the only clubs I got fired multiple times, and then they would switch managers, and then I get rebooked again. I had a lot of heckling incidents back in my angry days in Hartford, Connecticut at City Steam. And they would tell you in the email, that's when you knew the crowds were a little bit too hammered. The email would tell you how to handle hecklers before you even got to the gig. And you're like, I've never got one of these. Does that mean that people act like assholes in Hartford? Yeah, it does. It does. They're not great comedy crowds up there. I don't know what it is about Hartford. I apologize if I'm hurting your feelings if you're from there. Not a great comedy city. Don't know why. Connecticut is just it's just odd. It's too white. I hate to say it. It's too one race. And it just, they have there are some diverse cities in Connecticut and Hartford is probably one of them, but that club just was too white and too much drinking going on. They would get shit faced at that place and just talk to the comedian, and I would get fired and whatever. So you got them kicking our ass now that they're in the Carolinas, kicking the Flyers' ass, and I can't even wear my Phillies hats, which is they're in the background here, and you can't. Maybe you could see them in the wide shot. The just hung these jerseys up. I bought some cheap little dude. These things are great, by the way. $30 each for those things. I mean, they're not glass, they're plastic. They're not high end, but they have locks on the side, like anybody's coming in and buying my $100 jersey, stealing my jersey. I guess if you're OJ Simpson when OJ was around. Didn't he get all his jerseys stolen? That's what and then he tried to get him back at gunpoint, which was kind of a mistake. You don't pull guns. He had guys come with him, try to get his jerseys back. Then he goes to prison. But no one's coming in and stealing mine, so I threw the keys away. I don't need them. I got that, and I got the 80 Tug McGraw jersey there when the Phillies won the World Series. Always loved Tug McGraw. Have a strong connection to the Tugger. The Tugger. He would always hit his glove against his chest. Love Tug McGraw. So I can't wear a Phillies hat because the Phillies, well, last episode 1, they were in last place, had the worst record in all of baseball. And since I did episode 1 of Row Back to Philly, they got on a hot streak. I think they won. They've only lost 3 out of their past like 13 or 14 games. They're doing really good again. But last night they lost 12-1 against the A's, who I could be wrong, Dan, but the A's I'm pretty sure are in first place in their division. They're a good team. They're a good team, but they're one of those first place teams that don't have a great record. I think they have a 500 record. They're like 18-18 or something, but they're in first place. Dan could look that up. This is great having a producer. Look that up, Dan. It's like having a landscaper who speaks your language. Is that a racist joke?
I mean, I'll allow it,
You'll
but
allow it.
only this once.
You're Latino, so it's like when Robin Quivers was Howard Stern's, well, still is sidekick. He could make like slightly racial jokes because Robin was there. It made it okay. So you're my Latino producer, so I can throw a landscaper joke in.
Yeah.
No, I can't tell.
I'll allow it.
In Utah, do a lot of Latinos do the
Oh, of
landscaping?
course, bro.
Okay.
Of course.
Did you ever landscape?
I didn't do landscaping. I did do parking lot painting though,
What's that?
where I would paint parking lots like with the crew. Like I would go out and we
instead of retarring them, they just paint right on top of the blacktop.
no, they would tar and then they would hire us to go repaint the for the
The
new stars. or
lines. Oh, you
whatever.
mean paint the parking lines? Oh, okay. Is that a common Latino job? I didn't even know that one.
No, I don't know, but I did it.
Did the crew speak Spanish? Do you speak
Yeah,
Spanish?
I sí hablo español.
You know
Um,
no español or sí?
no, sí hablo, sí hablo.
Sí,
Hablo con mi mamá y mis padres.
sí.
Okay, I'm looking away.
¿Cómo te llamas?
You're like Daniel Rubio.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. Not an actual holiday we celebrate. But okay, so I can't tell. It looks like in their West division they are leading their division, the West, with 19 wins for the Athletics.
How many losses do they have though?
18.
Yeah, so they're one game above 500 in first place. So it's a lot different than the Phillies division, who have to compete. I think the Phillies are in second, or they might have dropped to third place with their loss last night. But you got Atlanta in first place, who's just on fire. Atlanta always has good baseball teams. They're always up there. They're always in the race. And Dan can look it up. Pretty sure they have the best record in all of baseball. So road back to Philly
This year,
right
is
now.
what you're saying?
Currently, right
Yeah,
now,
so
best record in baseball.
that's correct. So it looks like the Atlanta Braves are at 26 wins with 12 losses.
Right.
Phillies are in third place for the East Conference with with 17 wins and 21 losses. But they are at a, I don't know what they're at a,
how many games back? They're probably about 8.5, 9 games back. You probably can't see that at what you're looking at.
no, I can't.
On my MLB, I can always see how many games back they are. I'm going to guess 8.5 to 9 games back. This isn't a sports podcast, everybody. So I don't know why I'm talking sports so much, because you can tell when I try to sound like I know it, I don't know it like real sports guys know it. How many people would be listening to a real sportscaster go, I'm pretty sure they're 8.5 back, could be 9.5. Like, that's not what you're going to hear here. So do I still want to move back to Philly, even though all the Philly sports teams are taking a dive? If you see, I'm wearing the Eagles hat. The Eagles are still fine because the season hasn't started yet. And they got some good draft picks, but like I said, I'm a half-ass sports fan. Don't even know who they drafted, what positions they got. I'm told they did good in the draft. Whatever. So what I really wanted to get into for this episode 2, I titled it Bullies and Damones. Now, did you know what Damones were, Dan? How old are you? 30?
I'm 34. I just turned 34.
You just had a happy birthday. Yes, you just had a
Yes.
birthday, right? 34 years old. You probably don't know who Damone is.
No idea.
You never saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
No, it's actually on my list for my movie podcast to watch because you mention it so much.
It's one of the greatest movies of all time. Did your wife see it? But if you didn't grow up then, you'll watch it and go, this isn't good. Because it's such a dead-on showing of what it was like back then in the 80s being a teenager. So, I mean, I don't know if you'll relate to it. Has your wife seen it?
No, absolutely not.
Any of your friends talk about it?
I think a few friends have seen it, but I don't. We're not talking about it.
Do you know who was in it?
No idea.
No idea.
I did look it up one time, but
Well, the number one actor in it was Sean Penn. Sean
oh,
Penn
nice.
plays Jeff Spicoli. He's basically the star of the movie. He plays a stoner in high school. He's amazing in it. Jennifer Jason Leigh is in it. I don't know if I want to give this away. Is there like spoilers?
No, you're
40,
fine. You can.
50 years later, she gets pregnant. She gets pregnant by Damone. Damone gets her pregnant. Damone is a high school scalper. He's like, he doesn't want to get a real job. That's his big thing. He wants to just scalp tickets. And he is supposedly good with the ladies. And he has a nerd friend named Rat. And I don't know if you were more of a Rat or a Damone growing up, Dan, but I would say I might have looked like a Damone, but I was not a Damone. I was more of a Rat. I did not have game. To this day, I don't have game. Never really was amazing with the ladies. I could do well once I started doing stand-up comedy because that was like cheating. You had a conversation breaker. They would come up to you and say they thought you were funny, and that usually meant I'm kind of interested in you. And then you had to go from there. So it broke the ice. So I could cheat. But back in high school and when I was just starting stand up and going to like clubs and bars and all that, never had to rap, was never good at it. Never was the Damone. But we did have a Damone, and I reached out and I posted this on my social media to get some callers. We have some voicemails of people that left message about their Damones. My Damone was my friend's older brother. I did a whole bit about this guy in Mullets and Mixtapes and Remember When, two different one man show type stand up sets that I did. Of course, Mullets and Mixtapes became what the special was called when it got filmed, and it's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel for free. You can check that out. You're probably watching this podcast on YouTube right now. Go check out Mullets and Mixtapes. Whole special about the '80s and the stage. Half of it, we spent a lot on this special. It's old news, but I had an investor who spent a lot on it. He overpaid, and I told him not to. I said save all the money for advertising, and he didn't listen to me. He's like, we got to make it look amazing. We're going to sell this thing to Netflix. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. I don't have a million followers. You're not selling it to Netflix. I'm telling you for a fact, you aren't selling this anywhere. Spend under 20 grand on it. Didn't listen to me. He spent 130 grand on it. He overpaid. It was the dumbest thing ever, Dan. You should have been around back then. You would have been
I
hired to
should have been
film it.
around. I would. Yeah. Next time, Joe. Next time.
Yeah. Dude, we hired a stage coordinator, like a decorator, and he made half the stage look like my bedroom in 1982, and half the stage look like my son's bedroom at that time, which is probably 2024 when he was about 16. And then we had a big LED wall behind us, which, believe it or not, Dan, I think that cost $13,000 to rent for a day and a half. A,
Yeah, sounds
a
about right.
huge LED wall. Is that what they're called? LED walls?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did a lot of projections on it, and 130 grand. He got a grant though, so that's why they were giving out those. I don't know if you were able to get one in your business, Dan, but he had a grant from the government because he was in the live entertainment field. He was an agency that booked a lot of big events for mostly musicians, and then he was managing me. So he was able to use the grant money to make that special. So he didn't really lose his actual money. He lost the grant money. It was the dumbest thing ever. And yeah, I'm not working with that guy anymore. But he was a nice guy. It was just a stupid spending, dumb spending. But the guy who was my Damone, I don't think it made it into my Mullets and Mixtape special. I think it was just in Remember When. Because I would go on stage and I'd say I didn't have a Damone, but I did have my friend who had an older brother, and I would show this picture. There it is. That the guy above was my Damone. It's my friend Mike. That's his older brother, Chris. He was 2 years older than us. And check him out, dude. Got all the ladies, this dude. He was that's a ladies man in the late 70s right there, early 80s. He had a he always had a no, he didn't have Trans Ams. He had Camaros. He had a Z20. He had a 1980 Z28. Then he had a different Z28. Then he had an IROC at one time, and then he had Corvettes. And still to this day, he still has Corvettes. I think he might have 2 or 3 Corvettes now. But in high school, dude, that guy had an 80 Corvette white with the glass T-tops with the red leather interior. The thing was unbelievable. He's always outside, like cleaning his car. He always had the thing up on ramps. He always knew how to work on a car. And he used to get laid so much. It was just so funny. Like we would watch him because we were teenagers and he would let us watch from a window. And we used to I used to do jokes about it, saying it was like a Wild Kingdom doc to us. We're like, watch as the dominant male overcomes the weaker female species. And then he would almost be waving to us while he was having sex, right? And then his gold chains are flapping up and down, and we would see his butt going up and down on this couch as we're 15 and we're hiding in the bushes watching. And then as soon as he would get done, he would run into the bathroom and he'd be like, give us a sign, like meet us in there. And then we would talk to him after the sex in the bathroom while he was basically buck ass naked, doing like play by play. He was like John Madden. Go ahead.
What is that? You tell these stories, and all I can think about is like, we live different lives.
Yeah, totally. No one would do that now. He'd go to jail if you were looking through a window. Like,
Yes,
that's
I was
jail
like,
time.
100%.
Dude, not only would he go into the bathroom and talk to us about it and be like, wasn't that great? He had this move, and he always did it. And he was having sex constantly because his big phrase was, it's better than using your hand. That's all he would say. And I'm like, but was it? But was it? It wasn't it wasn't like every girl was a 10. Like there was a lot of 2s and 3s in the mix. I'm not going to say his last name, so we're hurting his feelings here. But if you put him on the lie detector test and he would go, no, they were all attractive. I was really into them. It would have buzzed. He would have buzzed. No, you weren't. He was one of those guys that would just, back in the day, they would say like when the last call went at the bar, he would just find somebody. He was like a lurker. He'd find somebody and he would get laid.
There's always somebody to find, Joe.
Yeah.
There's always somebody to find.
Yeah. He would wash his genitals while he was talking to us with soap and water. That was his move. He never wore condoms. Never got any diseases. He would just go, dude, just use soap and water. It's flawless. Like that. He wouldn't get a girl pregnant because he used. I don't understand. But the guy was a legend, and I guess the car has a lot to do with it. And he also worked a night shift job full time senior year in high school, and missed 77 days of school his senior year. He worked at a like a Pathmark, and it was a unionized job. He like did the shelves. He was like a stock guy at the supermarket.
It was good money.
He made good money back then. So he had the Corvette, like a 1 or 2 year old Corvette. He was making more than the teachers in high school, and they let him graduate. I don't know how. You went to school around now. If you go 77 days of school off,
there's no way that. No, yeah. I have a friend. She was always sloughing. She'd do all her work, good grades, but because they apply attendance to your grade now, that you get penalized for that. And I think it's because your homie made it, ruined it for the rest of us.
Really? Yeah. I think the parents are going to jail if you had 77 days off of school. They're doing DIFUS is showing up at your house like, what's going on that your kid missed 77 days of school? It was never, he has a full-time job and he's rich and he has a Corvette out front and he gets laid a lot. He's the Damone of the neighborhood. Yeah, so let's go to some callers. I'm interested if we have how many Damone calls do we have, Dan?
6.
Okay. No, I think we have about 3 that are about Damone.
Oh.
Joe Matarese, Matt Bellis. I didn't grow up in South Jersey. Grew up in Montclair, North Jersey. We didn't have Bullies and that other 1950 shit you guys had down there, but we definitely had some Damone.
Can you pause this for a second, Dan? I'm gonna cut. It's good when you know some of the people that are calling because you can call them on their bullshit. He's like, we didn't have bullies. We didn't have bullies. I lived in Montclair. First of all, he didn't live in Montclair. He went to high school in Montclair because his mom worked in Montclair and she was a teacher. So she got him into the richer school. He lived in Little Falls, another town over. So there might have been bullies there. And I hate to break it to you, the rich schools have the biggest bullies of all time. Those are the notorious bullies. Anyone who played lacrosse growing up was a dick and was a bully, right? Wouldn't you agree, Dan? Rich kids is where the bullies are. The poor kids aren't bullies. Well, I guess
because
they just beat
everybody's.
Everybody's a bully, so then there's no bully when everybody's fighting and you're in a really poor neighborhood. But bullies are when there's like, if we think about the movies with bullies growing up, well, one of them I can think of. One of the guys' names was Moody. Moody was Matt Dillon was in My Bodyguard, where he has to get a bodyguard because he's getting. He's not getting bullied. He's bullying this other kid who's a nerd who had to get a bodyguard. So you had Moody, Matt Dillon. He was not really a rich kid. But if you think about Karate Kid, is like probably the most famous bully movie of all time, right? They were all rich kids. Those are rich kids. They're fucking being dicks on the beach. All right. Sorry, Matt. I just wanted to call you. And I'm sure Little Falls is a nice town, but I'm sure there's bullies in Montclair. Maybe you were one.
With a kid in my grade, so cool that I actually watched him pick up a girl who called him on a wrong number. No idea who he was. He was so smooth. He picked her up. He even looked like me, which sucked because people would come up to me, like girls would come to me, like thinking I was him. And it was like, no, sorry to disappoint you. He was like taller than me. And he moved away after sophomore year. He moved. And I should have been happy, I guess, because it freed up a lot of women. But I was bummed out. I missed him. We had a great time. Enjoying the podcast, Joe. Take care.
Thanks, Matt. That's pretty classic that he looked like the cool kid in school who was getting all the girls, and then that guy leaves and he doesn't pick up the extra. Maybe it's because he was shorter. Like you said, I know Matt's not a really tall guy. He's not tiny. He's probably 5'8", 5'9". That's tall enough if you got game. But
I'm like 5'5", so I'm a short king. Let's go.
Yeah, but that's like 8 foot in Mexican height, right?
I mean, it's pretty average. It depends. My cousin's actually taller than me. My dad is like one of the shorter of his siblings. But
was it hard to get girls being 5'5", or didn't it, because a lot of Mexicans
so it's
are
funny
short?
You say this. So I actually my homie. I had a friend who was a trumpet player, so I played trombone. But
that's not getting you laid. Yeah. Trombone is a cock blocker instrument.
Whoa. False, bro.
False? Girls like college. Trombone players? Come on.
Listen, they don't have to know that I'm a trombone player. No, my Damone was Dalian. Do we call him Dalian, the Italian stallion? He wasn't really Italian, but
Dalian, the Italian stallion. That's a good name.
Yeah, I know. But I would always reel the girls in, like, because I was, I'm approachable and like I'm friendly, and I could. But then he would always seal the deal with the girls, and I'd be like, "Dang it, bro, I can't hang out with you." And he's like, "I know, bro, but get with it." And so
that's why you're married.
I had to up my game.
Kids. Once you met a girl, you had to marry her. You had no choice.
No way. It's not when I was a player in high school.
You were a player. All right. So yeah, you gotta have more game when you're 5'5", though. You definitely do. You gotta be able to talk.
Yes.
So you weren't shy.
And when you play trombone.
Exactly. Dude, I was worse. I played the clarinet. You want to talk about a cock blocker?
You would play a clarinet, Joe. You would play a clarinet.
Oh, dude, I used to go, my reed. It was my reed. Every time I'd hit a wrong note, it was my reed. Do you know what the reed is?
Of course I know what the reed is.
My reed. Then the next year I played the saxophone because I was like, it looked like a suitcase that I had to bring to school. It looked like I had my business suitcase with me.
Yeah.
And then I went to the saxophone, which I was so bad in the beginning band. I still remember just moving my fingers, but I wasn't blowing any air. Nothing. I was like, got this. Terrible.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. So
No,
yeah. So there's a lot of Damones, but Chris was my classic Damone back then. And I also want to talk about bullying because, not that road back to the Philly really has anything to do with my kids will be out of school. I'm not gonna have to worry about them getting bullied if we end up moving back to South Jersey or Philly because they will be college and gone when we come back there. But it does stem the memories of stuff that happened to me, and it's hard not to connect that to the area. And a lot of these happened in the Cherry Hill suburb areas. I can remember a bully in my and they were so typical. They were just like the movies. There was this kid, Dan. Should I give last names? Dan?
no, don't get last names.
Danny S. I'm just going to say it, the initial on his last name. Danny S. It's just, you know how when you visit a town and you might connect it with a girl you used to date, and then you're like, I don't want to live there because that's where she lived. Like, it's funny how that can get in your head. Because I was thinking if I went back, everybody lives in Collingswood, New Jersey, right? And Collingswood was not nice when I was growing up. And my first girlfriend was from Collingswood. So if I went back and I lived in Collingswood, I'd always be thinking about her. And Ogden, I still remember Ogden Avenue. She lived right by the speed line, the SEPTA train line there. And yeah, so like it's tainted in my mind. So, like, I connect it with Bullies also. I don't know why. So, Cherry Hill, some of the things that happened to me, I don't know. Well, this girl, Tracy, who calls in, I don't think she ended up not getting her call in. She called in on the last episode. We went on a couple dates when we were younger. She was a year older than me, and I guess this would be a bully situation, but it wasn't like at my school. She had an ex-boyfriend who was like, I guess, a nut, and I'm driving with her when we're going on to the date. Now I'm doing Dane Cook. I'm driving with her. I'm driving, and I don't know how I picked this up, Dan, that I'm being followed. Because now I don't think I would ever know if anybody was following me. But back
No,
then,
I think you would know.
you think you would know?
Yeah, I think it's like an instinct. You're like you know you're being hunted.
Well, like, I don't know. Something hit me, and I'm looking in the rear view. It was like a 70s cop show, like a Rockford Files episode. And the car I had was almost like a Rockford Files kind of bad guy car. Not bad guy good, though. It was like a 73 Chevy Impala, like really fucking long. Piece of shit, leaked exhaust inside the car. It was all rusted underneath. No stereo, boom box with the D batteries, it cost you like $80 in batteries, all duct taped into the boom box. On the date, she's on the bench seat, which is like 9 miles away from you. And I'm like, somebody's following us. And she's like, oh shit, it's my ex-boyfriend. Son of a bitch. Oh my God. And I'm like, ex-boyfriend, like it's like the first date. I'm like, I'm not even really that into the girl either. So I'm like, sorry, Tracy. Not that I'm not saying I wasn't into you, but it was just a first date. I didn't even know you yet, right? I didn't know you, didn't even know if I liked you. Of course I thought you were pretty. We were on the date, right? So he's following us, and I don't know what made me do this, but I drove to my parents' house. I don't know I don't know. I figured like that was the safe spot, Dan. Drive home. Because I knew I had a baseball bat we had a carport in our house, and right at the top of the steps, I knew one of my baseball bats was there, an aluminum speed swing, Louisville Slugger speed swing, long freaking metal bat. So I drive all the way into our driveway. He gets out. He's fucking jacked. unprovoked, right? I think he was in the Marines at the time, and I've been told by Tracy now that he's a state trooper now. Of course. That's who wants to kick my ass and would have kicked my ass. Just one of those you knew for a fact would kick your ass. I go up, I get the baseball bat, and instead of, in a normal movie, if I was a psychopath and I had fucking really dysfunctional parents, I always say my parents are just dysfunctional enough that I started doing stand-up comedy, but they're not dysfunctional to an extreme extent where I became a huge star of a comedian. I hate to say that, but most of the comedians that I've known in my lifetime, and I've met a million of them, the ones that are the funniest and become the most successful are the most fucked up. It's always the way it goes. It's very rare. There's like a couple that snuck through, and that's because people don't realize that they're fucked up because you don't know them well enough, right? But they're fucked up. Trust me. Trust me on this world. If you have a comedian that you think is amazing, he's a nut job, okay? All right. Well, what am I getting at here, Dan? And people. So this guy is coming at me, and if I was a psychopath and my parents were really fucked up, I would have hit this guy in the face with the baseball bat, but I did not. What I did is I came at him with the baseball bat, and I realized he was still coming, and I put the bat down, and I went inside my parents' house and shut the door and was like, I don't even like this girl that much. I am not getting my ass kicked for her right now. And just let her deal with him outside. I still don't. I wish Tracy would have called in, because she lives in Florida now. It would have been great if she called in, because she would have said what she said to him then. Because I don't know what she said.
Listen, Jimmy, I told you I'm seeing other people now.
And you know what I've realized, and as an older person, you can judge people on who their boyfriends or girlfriends were. Granted, she's only 18 or 19 at the time,
Sure.
and you do
Listen,
dumb shit.
Of course.
But if she was in a serious relationship with fucking nut job, Marine, now state trooper, asshole, hate to say that too. I said, what did I say? Comedians are nut jobs, and assholes become state troopers. It's in my head. It's a stereotype, but everyone I ever met
Listen,
in
Joe, you
my
have a
life
lot of work
that
to do.
is a state trooper is not the nicest guy in the world. They're always kind of pricks, aren't they?
Well, I mean, why do you think the Super Troopers was made?
Never saw
sure it
it,
was-
but I got to go watch it.
You never
Is it
saw
good?
Super Troopers? You know how you had the Fast Times of Ridgemont High? I had Super Troopers.
That was your movie growing up?
That was a movie that for sure that was like, it was taboo, but we watched it because it was.
Well, I have a comedian friend of mine, Justin McKinney, who was a cop before he was a stand-up, and he always says that they stole my idea. That was mine. He has a Boston, Maine accent. That was my
Can't believe
fucking.
they do that.
That was my fucking idea. The fucking Super Troopers.
Super Troopers.
Super Troopers.
That was my gang back in the day.
What was the concept of Super Troopers?
It's just this idea that like Super Troopers are like they're always messing with people, that they're like they are kind of like dicks, right?
They
So
were
like there's a
dicks.
whole bit where like they slip in the word bunny or some other word to like trip them because they know that these guys are they were like getting high. So as they see these kids who get pulled over, one of them eats the whole bag of like weed, and he's like starts tripping. Anyways, so it's just them trying to like it's like a workplace comedy, shenanigan style,
Who's in it?
raunchy. I can't remember what the song is. This is I'm terrible.
Is
at
there anyone
movie
famous
names.
in it? All right, we got
Um,
Super Troopers. That's my
Super
fucking
Troopers.
show. That was my fucking movie. So, yeah. So back to the story, or my story. So this guy, I would have loved to have known what he said and what she said to him, because it all calmed down. And then I think he left. And we might have continued the date, but it definitely affected the date, because I don't remember it going well after that. We went out a couple times, and then it didn't go much further than that. Then we became friends later in life, because she thanks to Facebook and Instagram, she saw that I was, still doing stand up because when I was dating her, I probably was just starting at 19 years old. So I sucked. So then many years later, she started coming to shows, and then she comes to see me in Florida whenever I'm local. So that's cool. So Tracy, I told that little story for you. Now there was these are always connected to girls now that I think about because the other one was I was starting to talk about Danny S. I didn't want to say his whole name. He was one of those bullies that you remember the movies in the 80s. The bully in Just One of the Guys was the same bully from Karate Kid, Johnny Lawrence, Billy Zabka, greatest bully in the history of all movies. So so good that they let him be a bully in three fucking movies. Three fucking movies. The guy was a bully in the Karate Kid. He's a bully in Just One of the Guys, and then boom, he gets cast again, bully again in Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. He's the bully in that movie too. Just a prick bully in three movies in a row, and he looked just like this Dan guy that was the bully at Cherry Hill East. I graduated in '85. I think he was a year younger than me. I dated this girl that he was in a serious relationship for a very short amount of time. And one of my friends, Gene, who's in my other podcast, he dated her too for a pretty long time. I dated her for a short amount of time. It was like, it was just a hookup, as I remember. We were never like boyfriend and girlfriend. But this guy, Dan, would just give me shit all the fucking time. And like, if you could have made a movie about me and in those high school times, I was one of those guys, not really, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Like Michael Jackson. I was never a big fighter, but if you fucked with me long enough, I would snap and do some crazy shit. I was like one of those psycho guys, right? And, and or if you were trying to fight one of my good friends, that's when I became tough. If you like beat up my friend, then I would become the tough guy because you fucked up my friend. So Dan was just giving me shit. He would start with me. These are back in the days where you'd go to the teen dances on Sundays. We'd go to Enchante teen dance.
Sunday.
Yeah, and then maybe California East Teen Dance on Friday. And if you bumped into him and he saw you with her, he was just like wanting to kick your ass. And you were like, you had that feeling in your stomach the whole night, like I'm gonna get in a fucking fight. Fuck. And Dan was definitely bigger than me. And I still remember, I don't know how it escalated, but we got into a fight out front of Cherry Hill East, right at the front doors of the high school. And I fucking lost it. I remember I just got fucking pissed. I was just enough with this fucking guy with your fucking gloves. That's what I think I cut myself off earlier. Those bullies in those movies, especially in Just One of the Guys, they wore those driving gloves, those leather gloves with the fingers cut off. This guy, he had them on all the time, this kid, and he looked just like Billy Zabka from Cobra Kai. Just like Johnny Lawrence. And we get in a fight, but this is a suburbs fight. So there was never like you watch fights on TikTok and Instagram now, they hit in the face. They're fucking boom, boom, boom. They fucking tackle somebody, start because there's, UFC is big now. Like when we grew up in the suburbs, South Philly, they probably did hit each other in the face. I can't tell what you're doing behind me. I'm looking at the camera. They probably hit in the face and fucking hit each other with clubs and bats. Like people were tougher in the city, but in the burbs of Cherry Hill, I used to do this on stage, and it worked when I was first starting as a comedian. It doesn't work now, which was we didn't fight, we just pushed a lot of this. Fucking, and then the other guy would go, lay off, man. And you go, no, I'm not fucking laying off. And he'd push you. I said, lay off. And then finally, there might be a punch or, but it never connected. And then it became like a headlock war. So that's what happened with Danny S., right? We square off. Nobody punches. He comes at me. I fucking grab him. I put him in a headlock. And I'm just choking this guy out. full, like, I just remember putting all my might into it. And I used to lift weights a lot back then, a lot bigger than than I am now. I probably weighed about 15 more pounds. And I still, again, like I said, where I couldn't hit the guy with the baseball bat, I had the wall right here, Dan. And I went like this with his head and smacked his head into the brick wall. And he was like, "Ugh," right? And then I was like, I felt bad for him.
Yeah. Your sanity came back. You like snapped out of it, and they're like, "Oh, freak! I shouldn't have said that."
Like Mickey said, I don't know if you know all the Rocky movies. When Mickey said, "You got civilized, kid.
You got civilized.
You got
Yeah.
civilized."
Yeah.
I got civilized, dude, and I just felt bad, and I let him out, and he didn't try to like kick and it just kind of ended.
Yeah.
And then I had this happen with ex-girlfriends too. Then it just feels like this in my memory bank. Never saw him again. Don't know where that guy ended up. I don't know if he's still alive. Let me know, people. You follow me on social media. Do you remember Danny? It was an Italian last name. It started with an S. Probably graduated in 86. And the girl's name was Nicole M. I'm not going to say her last name. Nicole M. She was hot. She was hot. Gene dated her, and I dated her. And then never saw her again either. And sometimes, you go through Facebook and you try to find them. You can never find these people. Right?
No, I'm never looking for anybody on Facebook.
I love looking for the bully or the girl that was hot. I'm like, what do they end up being? I always want to know. Not that I'm interested and I'm going to write to them. I just want to see. I'm like, what do they look like now? Do they look better? Do they look worse? Did they, age well? So you had Dan, and then a few years later when I graduated high school, Dave T. And I'm told this guy died, so we can say his name, right? I think when they die, you can say their name. I'm pretty sure this guy died. His name was Dave Triplett, and he was a fucking thorn in my side. He always wanted to fight. He was definitely, I can't believe I'm saying this, definitely on steroids, Dan. I grew up in the time where guys would experiment. I'm just doing a cycle. These Guido guys, I'm just doing a cycle. They'd all of a sudden,
listen, don't mess with me. I'm just doing my cycle.
I'm just doing a cycle. And you knew they were on roids. All of a sudden, they'd start beefing up and they'd start shaving their body hair. They'd have no hair on their arms. Their legs would be all shaved. And he had a fucking shaved on the sides mullet. This guy, long mullet, like a Billy Ray Cyrus mullet. Right?
Oh, tense.
And I still remember we used to go to this club called Francine's on Monday nights. It was packed every Monday night with Frank Cerami, Power 99 FM. This is Frank Cerami. I still remember the DJ. Frank Cerami on Power 99 FM. I wanted to be Frank Cerami. Side note, this is how much of a dork loser I am. I used to think I could do good impressions and do good voices. So I made a demo tape, a cassette, dude. And
classic.
I was underage back then, so I had a fake ID to get in on Monday nights to hear Frank Cerami play The Wheels of Steel. And I gave him a cassette tape, and I said, I do voices. If you ever need anybody on the radio on Power 99 FM, let me know. Here it is.
And he's like, sure, kid.
He just was like, looked at me. You won't get this reference.
Cut to the table behind him where there's a stack of cassettes of people.
He's like, a stack. And I think it just said like Joe Matarese, like, you wrote it in marker on the label.
Yeah.
Joe Matarese.
I see it in my head. I see this
phone
whole scene
number,
in my head.
You can see it with my phone number.
I see it. It's like nighttime, exterior, club. You're like walking up, all right, with your homies. You're like, all right, guys, tonight's the night.
I'm giving it to him. Giving him You won't get this reference, but there's a great movie from way before your time with Robert De Niro called The King of Comedy. And he plays a character in that movie called, his name's Rupert Pupkin. What a great fucking name. Rupert Pupkin is a delusional guy who does in the movie, he's doing comedy, stand-up comedy in his basement, and he has it all pimped out like it's a talk show, right? And
Nice.
throughout the movie, you hear like his mom yelling from upstairs, "Shut up, Rupert! You're making too much noise. I'm trying to make dinner." And he's like, "Mom, I'm making a demo tape." And in that movie, he made a demo tape of him doing stand up and put fake applause and laughs in, and goes to Jerry Lewis plays like the Johnny Carson of the show, and he goes to his offices in New York City and hands him the cassette tape of him doing, but with all fake laughs. And then he becomes a psycho in the movie, and he kidnaps the talk show host, and now he gets on the show to do stand up on it because he kidnaps the talk show host, and he says, "I'm not going to let him go unless you let me on."
Let me do a set.
And he gets on, and he kills. He has a great stand up set on the show. And I used to have an argument with Artie Lang from the Howard Stern show. We all remember Artie. I used to have an argument with Artie because Artie goes, that movie was to show you that, maybe you could do well and anyone could make it if they got that chance. And I said, "No, Artie, he was delusional. That was in his mind. It's a Scorsese directed it." I'm like, the movie had a deeper, you have to think about it, situation going on. I'm like, because he was watching himself on TV, right? He's at a bar and he's arrested. The cops arrest him. He's handcuffed, right?
Yeah.
And you hear like like the theme song comes on for like the Tonight Show, and he's like, "Oh, I'm on this. They're like, "Yeah, hell you are." He's like, "I'm telling you, I'm on this." And then they're watching him. They go, "Ladies and gentlemen, very funny, Rupert Pumpkin," right? Because it's like live to tape. He taped it earlier that day. And they're like, "Oh my God, you are on it," right? So then they're in one of those TV show moments where it cuts to him doing the set, right?
Yeah.
And he's killing, right? And
But is it him or is it not him?
Well, his opening joke is like, "I'm here tonight because our host, the normal host, Jerry Langford, is tied up with a gun at his face in my apartment," and everybody laughs like he does it like it's a joke, right? And I still remember the last line in his set. He goes, "It's better to be a king. It's better to be king for a night than a schmuck for a lifetime." A schmuck for a lifetime, and then it cuts back to. This is why I think it was in his head. It cuts back to the bar where he's handcuffed, and I always say good movies don't have dialogue that doesn't mean anything. Because you got to like follow it, because the cops go, "Good, that was awful, that was terrible," right? And I'm like, he was delusional in his head. It went well, well, right? I'm like, this guy, and I still couldn't believe it that Artie Lang, because he was like a really smart, really funny guy, and he was like, no, you interpreted that wrong. And I'm like, no, I think I interpreted it right. And I've always wanted to meet Scorsese just so I could ask him that, because I've Googled it, and if you do Google it, when you use GPT or whatever, or you Google it, it'll say that the movie was supposed to be something you had to interpret and think about, and and it could have different interpretations.
Sure.
So that's my interpretation. So
Nice.
Why did I even start telling you that? Because the bully. Dave.
Well, it's because I was telling you that I had this whole scene of you going and like showing up at the club and giving the tape over, and you had your memory of.
Yeah, and then it was because of the cassette was like Rupert Pupkin when he handed his cassette. Yeah. So this Dave guy at that club, I still remember. I came in, paid my cover. I'm about to walk into the dance club. He comes up with his I think he would wear tank tops to clubs. He was jacked because he was all roided up, right? No body hair whatsoever. Looked like a swimmer.
Just going through a cycle.
Just did a couple cycles. He's got the zits all over his back because he's doing steroids. And he comes up, all lat muscles, and he's just like, "What's up, bro? What's up?" And he just headbutts me for no fucking reason.
Oh, right. This is the headbutt story. Oh.
You know the headbutt story?
No, you mentioned it in, I think, the first podcast for Three Friends, One Booth. And I was like, I want to know this story.
Yeah. So this guy that's such a roid move for just no reason. We didn't even get in an argument. He just came up, was like, "What's up, Matarese?" And I was just like, "That's how you say hello? You fucking," and like blood's trickling down my forehead. And he was so big that I just kind of took it. I think I just kind of took it. Oh my God, I still remember that. I still remember the Dave guy, and just and then you'd have these incidents, and then you'd see them. You know, when you grow up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, you'd see them because every night of the week you were going to a different club. So Monday I'm at Francine's, Tuesday I'm at Walk and Roll, there he is again. Wednesday I'm at Enchante, there he is. Thursday night, you know, maybe I went to West LA. Everybody knows these clubs that's my age. There's Dave again. Friday, I'm gonna go into Philly. You know, let's go to Egypt. One of those Philly clubs. There's Dave. What the fuck? He's everywhere. Oh my God. And you just bump into him and you just have to like kind of avoid him, or you'd have that feeling in your stomach like, I hope I don't bump into Dave. I hope Dave's not here tonight. Yeah, but long story short, he died. He died years ago. I don't know how he died. I'm sure steroids might have had something to do with it. Like, who was that football player? Who was that football
Dave
player?
Triplett died from a headbutt or a head contusion
Headbutt.
after headbutting his best friend from high school.
He was just headbutting too many times. He probably died of early onset dementia from headbutts. We have a bunch of phone calls here with people that left voicemails about their bullies from growing up, and you can play them in any order. I don't care. We got to play all of the message though. Play the rest of them. This is Alcaz.
Joe Matarese, Alcaz. So yeah, I got a bully story. His name is David Moss. I was a 90-pound weakling growing up, right? And he used to bully me. So then when I became a comic, we had like a grade school reunion, whatever, and Dave Moss was there, and he was wearing this shirt, this shiny aluminum-looking shirt, like something out of like a Disco Fever. So I roasted him. I'm like, Dave, nice shirt. Looks like Reynolds Wrap had a sale. Boom. So you get back at the bully through humor. Anyway, also, David Moss used to fight this kid named Frankie Soli. This is a pretty good historical story, too. Drug-related, Philly-related. Frankie Soli was my idol. He used to beat the shit out of guys all the time. Tough kid. His father was a guy by the name of Salvatore Soli, and you can Google that. Salvatore Soli found out that the Germans were manufacturing methamphetamine in World War II to keep them up, keep the soldiers up. And he found out that formula, he brought it back to Philadelphia, and he made a pact with the Pagans, the motorcycle gang, to distribute it throughout the country. And that's how meth started in the United States. That's a fact. Anyway, cute story. Dave Moss bully story. Love you, buddy. Love your podcast. Keep at it. Talk to you.
Alcaz comes through. That was a good story. Fucking Alcaz. Did I just kick the camera? I might have. Alcaz. So, fucking that guy created meth to help them in the war?
No, he didn't create meth. He found out how they were doing meth because they were keeping it out in Germany, and then he brings it back. I'm trying to look it up right now.
Yeah, he said Google it. Look him up. His bully was the inventor of meth.
Not the inventor, the like.
He stole
he brought it.
He brought it here, but he basically, I mean, I don't know if he took credit for it like it was his.
Hold on, we're gonna pause.
How are they making meth at that time?
Joe Matarese. Boom. So you get back at the bully through humor. Anyway, also, David Moss used to fight this kid named Frankie Soli. This is a pretty good historical story, too. Drug-related, Philly-related. Frankie Soli was my idol. He used to beat the shit out of guys all the time. Tough kid. His father was a guy by the name of Salvatore Soli, and you can Google that. Salvatore Soli found out that the Germans were manufacturing methamphetamine in World War II to keep them up, keep the soldiers up. And he found out that formula, he brought it back to Philadelphia, and he made a pact with the Pagans, the motorcycle gang, to distribute it throughout the country. And that's how meth started in the United States. That's a fact. Anyway, cute story. Dave Moss bully story. Love you, buddy. Love your podcast. Keep at it. Talk to you.
I love the guy that he got him with humor. That the guy was showed up with the Reynolds Wrap shirt. It's so funny to go back to your high school reunion thinking you look great, and you're fucking wearing a Reynolds Wrap. I wish I could have been there when he said it. Al didn't mention this. Al was a little skinny kid when he was young. Al became a jacked guy when he got older. I don't know if Al did roids, but he became I think he was a professional bodybuilder at one time, Al Kaz, who just left that message. So that's hysterical. I wonder if that guy was what made him become a weightlifter. Sometimes you put a picture of him in your fucking corner, you're fucking Dave Moss, right? And just do some curls. You're still looking it up. So give me the next caller, please.
Hey, Joe, it's Andrew
Stop
Steiner.
I don't care.
From the No Copay podcast. And I'm calling first thing out of bed. I'm calling you.
What's up, Andrew?
To tell you about, I didn't have so much of a bully, but the closest thing was senior year.
Thanks for timing it.
This guy in my class at Walkabout, very small school. This is not in Philly, obviously, but this is in Westchester, New York. And there were kids coming in from all over the county, which is a pretty big county, like 30 school districts, whatever. And one of the kids, real Guido vibe, driving up in the Ford Mustang convertible every day from Bronxville, New York. And, in the hallway, he'd smack my ass, which I really didn't like. It would get me really pissed off because I was a little gay and I didn't know it, I guess. I don't know why. I guess maybe that's why. Yeah, he was the closest thing to a bully. And then when we both wound up at Westchester Community College, we became great friends because we were both in the music department, and he became my Damone. He kind of, taught me some guitar, and, he became my Damone a little bit. But now, a little bit recently, last time I talked on the phone, he's kind of reverted to bully. I think he's going through some mental health stuff and took it out on me a little bit. So we're back full circle to bully, from bully to Damone, back to bully. All right, hope that helped. Bye.
How many bullies become your Damone and then become a bully again? And I don't know. Slapping somebody's ass is not a bully move. That is right.
It is when you're just a little gay.
When you're a little, it's like a gay bully move, I guess. I don't know.
No, I don't know.
That's hysterical that he became his
his Damone. Back to bully. Wow, full circle.
He's like, let me teach you how to bang me. I got this idea.
So hear me out, bro. Hear me out.
Hear me out. It's like that scene. Everything I reference, you aren't going to know. I'm going to say it's like that scene in Stripes where John Candy's teaching them how to play poker, but they're morons, and he's pretending like, oh, you were so close. You were so close. You almost had that one. That one was close. And he's pulling all the money. Just teaching them how to play incorrectly. Yeah. So, okay, let's go to our next caller. Who we got?
Chris Ashland.
Hey, Joe. Chris from Ashland, Mass.
Chris Ashland, Mass.
Story. My bully was a kid named Scott Fosselman. And in 8th grade, he told me I wasn't allowed to walk down this particular street that we'd all walk down to get to school. So I had to walk a block up and come up the other block. And I did it for most of the year until the last day of school. Right around there, I said, fuck it, he's not the boss of me. I'm gonna walk down the street and I'm gonna face it, whatever it happens. And he was way bigger than me. He could kick my ass. Anyway, I walk down the street. He comes jumping out of a bush out of nowhere. I don't know where the fuck he came from. And says, I thought I told you not to walk down the street. And I said, fuck you, you're not the boss of me. And I pulled out a pencil and stabbed him. Went right inside him. He ended up in the hospital. And not only did he never bully me again, but we actually became friends. Rest in peace, Scotty. Peace.
He was blind, but we were good friends, and I actually helped him pick out his eye patch. Wonder where he stabbed him with the pencil.
That just reminds me of John Wick. He's like, with the fucking pencil.
Why is it that bullies always, like every bully movie, they always have something that makes no sense that they don't want you to do it. You can't go down this street. This is my street. This is our turf. And you can't come down the street. Like, what the fuck? Why? They just pick random shit, these fucking
It's a
assholes.
sense of control, right? Right? Isn't it like a psychological thing that, like, you know, most bullies do what they do because they have no control?
And usually their parents are bullies. There's some fucked up thing going on in the house when someone's a bully. I related when he said that, you know, he stood up and then got his ass kicked, right? He stood up the first time and got his ass kicked. So what, did he come back with the pencil a different day?
No, I said
Around there, I said, fuck it, he's not the boss of me. I'm gonna walk down the street and I'm gonna face it, whatever happens. And he was way bigger than me. He could kick my ass. Anyway, I walk down the street. He comes jumping out of a bush out of nowhere. I don't know where the fuck he came from. And says, I thought I told you not to walk down the street. And I said, fuck you, you're not the boss of me. And I pulled out a pencil and stabbed him.
He didn't even articulate it in the story. We can't tell if that was two separate incidents. He got his ass kicked.
I think
then he came back again and said, "This is my," and stood up again, even though he got his. That was just dumb, Chris. That you were like, got your ass kicked, and then well, I mean, you stabbed him. Is it dumb, or you had a weapon?
Is he like, listen, I'm the boss of this street, okay? Yeah. So now they called him the Pencil King.
I guess that's how shootings happen. It's like you push somebody far enough, they're going to either stab you with a pencil or they're going to take a gun out of their dad's. That's why you shouldn't have guns, people.
Listen, that's facts. I also, PSA, do not, if you're going to have a gun, you should 100% have a lock finger thing. Nowhere near a kid can access it at all.
Something. Just like that. Don't even let your kid know that you have it. No 100%. One can know that it's in that place.
Or if you're going to you have to do safety, and you, again, lock and key nowhere where it's accessible. I cannot tell you how many times I was in Memphis, Tennessee, and I was writing a story where a kid shot and killed themselves due to playing with a gun that was left unattended.
What were they playing with it?
They were. I mean, it was eluded.
Yeah, it wasn't like a suicide. It was like they just were fucking around with it because they're young and stupid. I had a friend like that when I was younger. Thank God there was no bullets in it. My friend had like a pellet gun, and my one friend stuck it on my fucking was about to pull the trigger and didn't, and then my friend grabbed it from me. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "This isn't loaded, right?" He goes, "Yeah, it is loaded." So he would have shot a fucking pellet. He had it right up to my temple. That would, even though it's not a bullet, it wouldn't have felt good to have a pellet.
You would have, it would probably.
I would have been in the hospital
for sure.
For sure. Fucking idiots. Yeah. So there was something else that I know what it reminded me of, because he said he stood up to the guy and he was like, "Fuck that. You're not the boss of me." When I probably told this on something, I've done 9 million podcasts in my lifetime. They were all mine with different names. Had a lot
all different versions of you.
All different versions of me. So I'm dating this girl. I'm about 18. She's 16. She had a friend she was hot, and she had a friend that was hot. I'll say both their first names. Dana and Dawn were the two girls. It's Jean and me. Jean's with Dawn. I'm with Dana. We go to this bowling alley. Woodcrest Lanes, everybody. Little shout out in Cherry Hill, right down the street from where my parents live and still live. We're in there, and these guys just start. I guess what do you call it now? Chirping. They start chirping. Back then, we didn't call it chirping. You just say they were being dicks. They're like, "Nice tits." They're saying like "nice tits" to our girls, right? Our girls were wearing pretty sexy outfits, you know, and they're like, "Nice tits. You guys are hot. What are you doing with those losers?" Right? And I did the mature thing, which is I looked at Gene and I go, "Let's just leave. I don't need the bowl that bad. Let's just leave." Right? We leave. And as soon as we get into the parking lot, stupid me again, Johnny raged for no reason. The rage hits me as soon as I hit the parking lot. And I was like, fuck those guys. That's bullshit. I shouldn't have to leave the bowling alley because of them. I'm going back in. I go right back in, right? And I square up with the main bully, who was the main guy saying shit. And it was like a typical movie, too, because he had this like 30-year-old big black guy with him, was his friend. And then it was him and like 5 other like teenagers, right? And the main guy who was saying nice tits, we square up. I did the dumbest move ever. I was like, I'm gonna kick him in the balls, and then he's gonna do that. Oh, and then I'm gonna uppercut him. Like I thought I had it down, right?
You in your head it worked.
Dude, Dan, I went to kick him in the balls, missed his balls, and just hit him in the leg. He grabbed my foot, turned, and just spiked me down to the ground, and then I got on top of me. I was used to Cherry Hill layoff fights. This kid was from like Runnymede or Maple Shade. Let me think of another town like
The place where they
Belmar,
actually had fighting.
where they fight and hit. He gets me down on the ground and just starts flurrying punches on the sides of my head. And I had a leather jacket on that girl Dana got me. It was nice too. She had money, and she got me this leather jacket. And I didn't want to mess the jacket up. It was stupid that I had it on. Anyone else takes the jacket off and goes, "Let's fight." You know, in every movie, you take the jacket off, you hand it to your friend, "Let's fight." Gene's there with me too. I don't take the jacket off. When he turns my leg and gets on my top of me and just starts throwing the punches, I just go into like the fetal position, thinking I can block punches, but he's hitting everywhere, right? Just fucking a million punches. Gene doesn't do shit. Probably because his friend was like, the 30-year-old black guy was huge, wearing a tank top, probably had a weight belt on. And in all the movies, that guy would have a weight belt on, the big friend. And Gene just watched me get the living shit kicked out of me. Where the girl has to pretend that she feels bad for you. Are you all right? Are you all right? And then, all those Rocky movies, everything's like, when he gets hit a lot in the head. It literally sounded like that. Like I had brain damage. It was like, all I was hearing was, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't think so." And I had bruises and black and blue marks all the way around my ears like this, right? True shit. The reason that girl Dana had a lot of money is her dad was like definitely some sort of connected situation going on there. He had been in and out of prison, the dad. I come back to her house. His dad's there. Her dad's there. And he's like, "What the fuck up? What the fuck up?" He looked like Tony Soprano, but he was Jewish. He was like a Jewish mobster, this guy. He used to buy me shit. He bought her she had a Porsche 911 when I was dating her. Porsche 911 with the Targa top. The car was fucking mint. Red Porsche 911 with like leopard interior. It was unbelievable. She used to let me drive it around without her in it. I used to just drive it around. It was incredible. And I go to him. I tell him the story, and he goes, what are you, an idiot? You went back in empty-handed?" He goes, "Next time that happens, you go outside and you go into your car and you open the trunk and you pull out the fucking tire iron, and then you go back in. And maybe you get your ass kicked, but one of them's going to be maimed for life." And he fucking meant it. It wasn't like a joke. He wasn't like,
no, he was like, he was giving you, he was like, "Listen,
one.
son," he's like giving you the dad life advice.
Not even dad life advice, dad criminal advice. Like, you kill one. You might get your ass kicked, but one's getting buried.
You get one guy, even if you lost the war, you won one battle.
Fuck. Yeah, he ended up dying soon after that, dating her. He
Whoa.
passed away. It was sad. He was like a father figure to me, to this guy. I loved this mob guy. He was great.
Listen, you did you get in a fight after that ever again?
Not a lot of fights after that. You're right. Not a lot of fights
See?
in my adult
That's because
life.
the universe knew that if you got in another fight, you would have showed up with another tire iron. Someone's kneecap would be busted, and you might be in jail.
I'd be in prison. All right, let's
And
go.
then you'd be telling your daughter's boyfriend, "Listen, next time you go in there, you take a tire."
You take mace, you spray it in his eyeballs, and then you start kicking him when he's on the ground until he dies. You might go to jail, but you're not getting your ass kicked again. That reputation's going to follow you there in fucking jail. They're going to all know you. They're going to applaud you. All right, give me another call.
Joe Matarese, Matt Bellis. I didn't grow up in South Jersey.
Joe, Ron Pollock went to Dover, Delaware, doverlawoffice.com. As far as bullying goes and fighting, I just remember there not being a lot of supervision by parents when I was a kid. And even sometimes parents would get involved. I was a newspaper boy for the Burlington County Times. And I remember this guy's mom, they thought I was picking on one of their kids, and she got involved, and she like set up, like when I was delivering a newspaper, the mom came out and had this kid's older brother fight me like in their yard. Could you imagine this happening today in 2026 where a mom's like, organizing a fight, or they're just watching a fight, and you ever don't get credit for a win in a fight? Like, I literally beat this kid up. Like, I won the fight, and they just wouldn't admit it. You ever win a fight and the other person just won't admit that you won the fight, and they won't even give you the satisfaction? But back then, there was just no parental supervision. A lot of parents were just there watching shit happen. Rancocas Woods, man, it was like chaos. It was like Thunderdome. It was like Mad Max, man. It was like I had a mom organizing their one of their kids to fight me. So weird, man. Anyways, love the podcast. See you, buddy. Bye.
I wonder if it was like what do they call it? Bare knuckle boxing? Do you think it was bare knuckle?
Bare knuckle boxing. Mm-hmm.
You see
those, or like a fight club for the neighborhood. Listen, wife, kids, I'm not having any of you going to jail. You're gonna come to my house and you're gonna figure it out like men.
My wife got pissed at this because my son, goes to Tampa, so she's down in Florida right now picking him up and helping him get all of his stuff together. And he's flying home. She wanted me to stay here and watch my daughter and the dog, so she's down there and flying home tomorrow morning. But there's a bar there in Florida where you can watch like bare knuckle boxing at the bar. Like they literally have, or maybe it's not bare knuckle. Maybe it is in boxing gloves, but they're not pro fighters. They're just people that sign up, and like the bar gets packed because people love watching fights. It's like why the internet is crazy, because people that are kind of douchebags do well on the internet, right? They do great. It's the same with idiots. They love boxing. But when he was saying the parents aren't supervising, I'm thinking, especially back then. I mean, if anyone grew up he's a little younger than me, Ron. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, and at 12 and 13, it's like, the early 80s and the late 70s. Our Little League coaches were getting fights with each other at the games, like literally brawl at the game. Like that just was, you saw your people's parents getting fights, and it's probably one of the reasons why, again, I'm not a successful comedian. My dad was never one of those guys. I've never watched my dad get in a fight ever. He's never been in a fight ever. And you meet these guys sometimes that got in fights with their own dads. I never got in a fight with my dad. We were just fucking connecting with your dad. Did you ever fight your dad?
Oh yeah.
I doubt you did.
No, my dad. I would like an actual fight.
But a real fight.
No.
Yeah, exactly. It's because you're normal. Anyone who's normal hasn't punched
but I was
their
also
own
terrified
dad
of my
in
dad.
the
Like
face.
my dad. I was terrified of my dad. My dad was like my dad looked like Mario. He had the best mustache, like a thick old upper lip with large mustache. I would just be like, yeah, if you see a guy who looks like Mario, that's my dad. And
Mario.
And he was like, he wasn't quite. I met a guy with bigger forearms than my dad later in my life, but I was like, no, because he was a big, he would do all kinds of odd jobs for freelancing, and he would work with like machinery for all kinds of stuff. So he had big hands and big forearms. And so like, at least for a kid, right? I mean, who knows if it
you don't fuck with those guys. My uncle was that way.
My dad used to break horses. Like this man, he would tell me like he was breaking a horse, ended up get kicked off this Mustang, ends up breaking his arm, and was just sitting around like hanging out for somebody to show up. My mom like listened to this, like was like, oh, I think I need to go check on him. I haven't heard from him in a while. It goes and checks him, and he's over there just like, yeah, I think want to take me to the hospital. This man also fell off. He was building a second level of the floor. Like my dad was a tough man. And I was like, no, I'm never gonna
you
fight.
don't you don't mess
No.
with guys that can break a horse. That's
No,
that's another level of toughness.
yeah.
Good for you. You had a man's man dad. All right, go to another call. How many calls we got left, Dan?
I think we have. I'm trying to think. We did Jerry Rowan, right?
Hey, it's Jerry
No.
Rowan from
Okay, here's the last one.
Delaware County, just outside of Philadelphia. So the bully question. I don't know if I had a regular bully growing up, but there definitely was a period of time in grade school where I had somebody after me for quite a while. At least I thought it was for quite a while. This kid was after me, and I used to take. We had lines to go home at the end of the day, and I would take a different line that would take me to a completely different neighborhood, and I would have to walk way out of my way to get home. It took me at least 45 minutes. It seemed longer. I don't know, but I did this for weeks, and eventually I ended up running into him by accident, and he acted like he didn't even remember. So I blew him off long enough, I guess. But I remember being terrified, and there were a few days early on where he chased me around, and which led me to taking the detour. And anyway, that's that. I never got in too many fights other than that, and until later in life. But not that I got in many fights later in life either. But let's go on to the Damone. Damone, there was a guy in high school named, we called him Toner. And we thought
You can pause it there. I'll just give a couple comments on him right there. Hit pause, Dan. So, yeah, if you ever met this guy, Jerry, he's like the softest soul ever. So it's like you can imagine that he went out of his way to take a different school bus line and then walked all the way to his house. The shit you do when you're young, when you're afraid, is amazing. How far we'll get or go to just get around that shit. So, but then I guess it's smarter, you know. I mean, I don't know if I really, you know, some of these parents are like, you got to teach you teach your son how to fight. If he's getting bullied, he's got to stand up for himself. I'm like, not in 2026, because you stand up to the fucking bully, he's got a gun and he's a fucking psychopath. Like, I tell my son now, I'm like, dude, if someone's acting crazy, just stay away from him. You don't need to stand up for yourself. Just go home. That's what I tell him. I'm like, you don't need to fucking do that. People are nuts. It's not like it used to be. There's not gonna be some fair fight. 9 guys are gonna jump out and beat the living shit out of you and kill you now. Like, I mean, just don't. That's just my little tip, my little bully tip for everybody watching the podcast. So let's hear what
let's
he
go
has
on
to say
to the
about his
Damone.
Damone.
Damone, there was a guy in high school named, we called him Toner, and we thought he was some kind of Casanova. He hooked up all the time, and eventually one night, man, I asked him, I was like, dude, what is your thing, you know? And he's like, dude, I don't have anything. He's like, I just go from one girl to the next, and eventually somebody says, yes. It was a numbers game for him. Apparently, if you're not a softy like the singer-songwriter Softy I am, if you just go from one girl to the next and don't let the first no you get crush you to the point where you run off and write songs, apparently somebody says yes if you just keep asking. I didn't apply that secret very well because I got too many feelings, I guess. But that's what I got, Joe, and hopefully these work for you, man. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, it's tough to play the numbers game if you care and if you like somebody. Like, you can't play the numbers game if you like want it to be someone that you have feelings for. It's not going to work. So yeah, but we all knew those guys. I talked about the guy at the beginning of this podcast episode, my Damone. We showed his picture. He could care less who they were, what they look like. It's better than your hand, you know, and he would just fucking low-hanging fruit. They say that, right? The drunkest girl, the easiest one. And then once in a while, he would strike gold, but then you'd meet the one that was gold, and you're like, this girl's a lunatic. she's pretty. She's out of her fucking mind. So, it's just, it kind of is. Like, people will say that to me sometimes. How did you get a woman with a PhD who makes good money? Why did she want to marry you? And I'm like, I guess I'm a good person underneath whatever you think about me. A woman like that isn't going to go for, a bully type guy or some guy who's like a fucking trying to get laid every 2 seconds. It's not going to work for her. So it's just like Fast Times at Ridgemont High with Damone, where we realized at the end of the movie, he didn't have game. This guy was fucking depressed. He didn't have girls at all. He just, and Rat, the nerdy guy, is way better off because you see that she kind of likes him and they're going to get together at the end of the movie, right? So, you got to be who you are. That's what it is. You can't care what anybody thinks and do something that somebody's trying to turn you into. You're either a Damone or a Johnny. You're either that or you're not. Don't pretend that you are, because it's not going to work. Okay, that's how we're ending this episode. Episode 2 in the can. Road back to Philly. I'm getting closer. We're at the second episode. Who knows in 4.5 years where this will all go? Right, Dan? Where will it go? We'll find out. We'll find out through many of these podcasts. So keep listening. Follow the show. Go and see me live. I'm not going to give you the tour dates because who knows what it's going to sync with, but it's always joematarese.com. Stop emailing me and texting me and DMing me. Where are you going to be? Just go to joematarese.com. It's always there. My dates are there. And if you go, well, there's only 6 dates there, then that's the 6 things I got coming up, okay? I don't put a year in advance up there, okay? And things pop up in comedy. Yeah, I book kind of, 3-4 months in advance, and it just slowly fills up. So come and see me live. It's in the Water tour is still going, and I hope to be down at the Jersey Shore this summer doing some performances. I'm looking at Jersey Shore houses, trying to get my wife and her 2 sisters and their kids and our kids and my mother-in-law all to get one house. I'm trying to not only doing Road back to Philly, I'm trying to push them to go to the Jersey Shore for a week this summer with everybody. So maybe you'll see me down there, everybody. You're good. Did he move? No, I'm here for a week. Keep listening to the podcast and go listen to 3 Friends, 1 Booth. We have some great episodes for that. All right, guys, have a good one. See you later.